Hello class and welcome to this video on how to input your data into SPSS for your senior thesis research. I'm going to open up SPSS by double clicking on this Sigma sign here that says IBM SPSS Statistics. And a splash page is going to show up. This is what this page here is called. You want to just close this out. All right, you want to click out of this too if you see that on your end. And you are going to go and click onto what's called variable view, which is right here. Variable view. So I'm going to click that. And now you are going to take the information that you have collected, all right, from your 100 or so participants, and you are going to put it into the variable view so that SPSS can interpret it when you are ready to analyze your data statistically. So the first variable in here is going to be your what's called ID. All right. So ID is your first variable name. If you press enter, a new screen, some more information is going to appear for that particular variable that you just added in. I'm going to extend this a little bit more. All right, so we can see everything. Well, maybe let's go a little bit more with this. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, that's good. So let me extend this a little bit more out. Okay, so you're going to make some changes on this ID here. Where it says decimals, all right, you're going to move that to 0 for this particular variable. Where it says label, all right, you are going to put in a more specific fashion what that variable means. So you're going to do that for all the variables you're going to put in here. So the label that we're going to put for ID is going to be random identification number. All right. And if you get out of that one and go to measure, that is going to help us to understand what scale of measurement that particular variable is. So for that variable, an ID number is going to be a nominal variable. So I'm going to press nominal. All right. And let's scroll back to this right here. And so you're going to click where it says number 2 under name. You're going to put age and press enter or tab. And you are going to change the decimal places to 0. Where it says label, you're going to put age in years. Where it says measure, well, age is going to be a scale variable, meaning that it's measured on either an interval or ratio scale of measurement. Then we're going to click into name in the third slot, and you're going to put gender. All right. And then press tab or press any button outside of the gender one. And for the decimal places, you are going to put 0 for this as well. The label you are going to put here is going to be gender identity. All right, and you're going to add something new for this right here. You're going to go to values, because we have to tell SPSS how to differentiate the different numbers that we're going to put in and what those correspond to. So if you look at here at your demographic information, the demographic questionnaire, 1 equals man, 2 equals woman, 3 is trans, and 4 is other, which we had participants write in. All right. And so we want SPSS to understand that. So we're going to go to values. We're going to click on these 3 dots right here so that we can add these values. All right. So in the first part of this, all right, we are going to put a number in the value box that corresponds with the label. So we're going to start with the lowest and work our way to the highest. So the first value is 1. And the label for the value 1 is going to be man. And then we're going to press add to add it in. And then we're going to repeat that process for the other variables for gender identity. So value, a value of 2 represents woman. Press add, right? And then a value of 3 represents trans. And we press add. And then a value of 4 represents other. We press add. And once we have all of the values that are in our demographic questionnaire in the value labels, we are going to press OK. All right, and so now, if you see here under values, if you press on these 3 dots, you will see all of these options here. So now when you put in 1, 2, 3, or 4, the computer is going to recognize that 1 represents man, 2 represents woman, 3 trans, and so on and so forth. And we're going to do that for a number of our variables as we input them in here. All right, so exit out of that. We're going to change the scale of measurement for gender to nominal. All right, once you do that, go over here in this box, you're going to put in the term race. All right, and then press the tab button. You're going to change the decimal places for race to 0. And you're going to click under label. And you're going to put race/ethnicity. All right, and then then you're going to click values. You're going to click on those 3 dots. And then you're going to do the same thing we did for gender identity. This one is just a little bit longer. We're going to put all of these numbers in here and the corresponding labels for the numbers. So value 1 represents Black/African American. Press add. 2 represents African. 3 represents Afro-Caribbean. 4 represents Afro-Latino. 5 represents biracial. 6 represents white/ / Caucasian. You're going to press add. A value of 7 is going to represent Hispanic. And then in parentheses, white. We're going to press add. A value of 8 represents Asian. And we're going to press add. And just scroll down so we can make sure we're doing this right. A value of 9 represents Native American. A value of 10 represents Pacific Islander. A value of 11 represents other, and students or participants were asked to write in there if none of those options from 1 to 10 represent what they feel they are when it comes to their racial background or ethnicity. So once you do that, just look it over, make sure it's correct. It looks like it is. You're going to press OK to put that into values. And just to check one more time, press those little 3 dots. And you can scroll down, you can see how that looks. All right. Okay. You're now going to input the next variable. And the next variable is going to be education. Press tab. You're going to change the decimal place to 0 as well. The label you're going to put for education is going to be educational level. For values for educational level, you're going to go to question 4. And for the number 1, that's going to represent high school diploma / general equivalency diploma, or GED. You're going to press add there. 2 represents some college. Press add. 3 is going to represent a Bachelor's of Arts or a Bachelor's of Science. Or I should say a completed Bachelor's of Arts, Bachelor's of Science degree. Value 4 is going to represent what is called a Master's MS or a Master's degree. Add. And a value of 5 is going to represent someone with a doctorate degree. The majority of people you deal with, your participants, if you're going to classes, are going to be almost exclusively having some college. So it should be number 2. So you're going to look it over, make sure this is the same here as it is here. And then you're going to press OK. All right. So now we have that in there. We could double check just to make sure. All right. And we're going to go to the next variable. And the next variable, all right, is going to be class. All right. And then press tab over there. We're going to change the decimal places to 0 for this as well. We are going to put for the label, let's see, for class, we're going to put college year. And then we're going to press into the values box next to where it says college year, press on those 3 dots so that we can add in our values. And so for college year or current classification in college, a value of 1 is going to represent a freshman. Press add. A value of 2 is going to represent a sophomore. Press add. A value of 3 is going to represent a junior. Press add. And a value of 4 is going to represent a senior. Press add. And now you have all the 4 classifications in college. All right, and then you are going to press OK. And you can just check again to see if you have that all correct, which you should. All right. Then you're going to move on to your next variable by pressing right here. We're going to scroll down on this demographic questionnaire to the next question, which is what is your current socioeconomic status, not your parents or guardians. And for that, we are going to call that SES, which stands for socioeconomic status. We're going to change the decimal places as well to 0. We're going to label this as income level. And we're going to press on values so that we can make sure SPSS understands what that means. So in this one, 1, a value of 1. All right. A value of 1 is going to be labeled as rich. We add that. A value of 2 represents upper middle class. A value of 3 represents middle class. A value of 4 represents a value of 4. Just to let you know, if you put in actual letters into value, you're going to hear that ding sound, which tells you that you have made a mistake. And so you need to erase that and put in numbers into the value. So a value of 4 represents, for that particular question, it represents what's called the working class. And press add. And a value of 5 is going to represent what is called the lower class. We're going to press add. And then once we've put in all our values and labels, we're going to press OK. All right. And then we're going to move on to the next question, which is going to be named, the variable is going to be named semester. And we are going to put the decimal place as 0. When it comes to label, we are going to label this as the current semester. Then we're going to press values, press those little 3 dots, and we are going to put the values that correspond to what is in our demographic questionnaire. So a value of 1, all right, it represents fall. A value of 2 represents spring semester, fall semester, obviously. A value of 3 represents summer. And a value of 4 represents other, or not currently in school. We're not currently registered in school or not currently in school. All right. And we're going to press add for that as well. Once we have all 4 of those in here, we're going to press OK. All right. Then we're going to go back to and highlight that box right there. And the next question after semester, the variable is going to be called exercise. All right, we are going to remove the, we're going to put the decimals at 0 again. We're going to label this as exercise in a week. Then we're going to click on to values and click on to those 3 dots to bring up the values label dialog box as we've been doing. And for exercise in a week, a value of 1 is going to represent none. We press add. A value of 2 represents once a week. A value of 3 represents 2 to 3 times a week of exercise. And a value of 4 is going to represent more than 3 times a week. Let's add. And we're going to press OK. We are then going to move on to the next variable, which is going to be labeled meditation. And we're going to move the decimal places to 0 for this. We are going to label that variable as meditation attempts. And we are going to click on values under there and click on the 3 dots to bring up the value label dialog box. And where it says values, a value of 1 is going to represent yes. A value of 2 is going to represent no. And then we're going to press OK. Alrighty. And then we're going to move to the next variable. And so let's see. The next variable after meditation is going to be diet. And we're going to place the decimal places at 0 for that variable as well. The label for diet is going to be dietary lifestyle. And we're going to go to values and press on those 3 dots and put in the different kinds of diet that respondents could have answered. So the first value, a value of 1, represents vegan. Press add. All right, a value of 2 represents vegetarian, which is, then we're going to go add. A value of 3 corresponds to what is called a pescatarian. And that means, well, we don't have to put that in here because we have that here. So a pescatarian. So add. A value of 4 represents a person who just doesn't eat pork. Add. A value of 5 represents a person who doesn't eat red meat. Let's add. And then a value of 6 represents an omnivore, someone who eats food of both plant and animal origin with no restrictions. If respondents are doing this correctly, the majority of people here should fall under what is called an omnivore. So we press add. All right. And then we are going to press OK. All right. We're going to go to our next variable. So the next variable on the list after diet is going to be religion. So that is the name of our variable, religion. All right. And we are going to change the decimal places to 0 for that as well. And for the label, it's going to be titled religious affiliation. All right. And then we're going to press into values like I just did. Press on those 3 dots to bring up the value labels dialog box. And we're going to put in this information. So a value of 1 represents a Christian. All right. And that's all denominations. So Episcopalian, Methodist, Baptist, Catholic, all those would go under Christian. All right. We're going to press add. Number 2 represents a Muslim. Number 3 represents those who practice the Jewish faith, Judaism. A value of 4 represents a person who practices who's a practicing Black Hebrew Israelite. All right, and a value of 5 represents somebody who is a part of the Nation of Islam or what is called the 5 percenters. A value of 6 is going to represent someone who is part of the Moorish American faith or just the Moors. All right. A value of 7 is going to be someone who practices Rastafarianism or Rastafarianism. Let's see if I spelled that correctly. Rastafarianism. Okay. All right. If you make spelling errors here, it's not the end of the world. No one is really going to see this. All right. Except for myself and you. And it doesn't. The SPSS doesn't do any kind of spell check. All right. So the next value is going to be a value of 8. All right. And that represents traditional African religion. Such as the Orishas, Ifa, Vodun, Candomblé, Santeria, Hoodoo. All right. All right. I'm going to press add for that. A value of 9 represents an atheist, someone who doesn't believe a God exists. A value of 10 represents an agnostic. A value of 11 represents somebody who is spiritual. And just make sure you have all those in here ordered correctly, 1 through 11. And it looks like we do. Once you have that, press OK. All right, and we'll go to the next variable. So the variable after religion is going to be politics. All right, and for that variable, we are also going to change it to 0. The label for politics is going to be political affiliation. And we are going to click on the values box, those 3 dots. And for value labels for political affiliation, all right, a number 1 is going to represent somebody who is a Democrat / liberal. Value 2 represents someone who is Republican / conservative. A value of 3 represents someone who would be called an independent. A value of 4 represents someone who considers themselves a socialist / communist. A value of 5 represents somebody who believes they are a black nationalist / pan-Africanist. And a value of 6 represents somebody who has no political affiliation. Press add for that. Make sure you have all these correct in here. Yeah, it looks good. All right, press OK. All right, and then for the next question after politics, we are going to title that as sexuality. We're going to change the decimal places for that as well to 0. We are going to add in a label for that, and that label is going to be sexual orientation. And we're going to click into the values in that row, click on those 3 dots to bring up the value labels dialog box. And for sexual orientation, a value of 1 is going to represent heterosexual. A value of 2 is going to represent homosexual. A value of 3 represents bisexual. A value of 4 represents other. And make sure that's reflected over here for that question. All right, and it is. Press OK. All right. And so the next variable is going to be the name of your first variable. So in your first research question, right, which is a correlation, you're saying you believe this variable, whatever that variable is, variable 1, has a relationship or can predict variable 2. All right. And so whatever that first variable is in your first research question, that is going to be the name of your variable in the SPSS program. So for this one, I'm going to put depression and then press tab. And I'm going to keep the decimal places for depression. For label, I'm going to label this as depression or variable 1, whatever that name of your variable is, depression test total score. All right. And then I'm going to go back here and I am going to, let me see, I don't think I have any more questions here. Nope. All right. Then I'm going to put in as the last variable here, whatever my second variable name is, which in this case, I'm going to make this anxiety. And I'm going to keep the decimals at 2. And for the label, it's going to be anxiety or variable 2, whatever that variable name is, anxiety test total score. All right. And now I'm going to maximize this so you can see the whole thing. We're going to make some changes. All right. And that has to deal with the measures. So we stopped putting in measures as we were putting in the variables. Let's do that now. And so for race, that's going to be a nominal variable. For education, that is going to be an ordinal level variable, because those are ranks. For class, that too is going to be ordinal. For income level, that is also going to be ordinal. For semester, that is going to be nominal. For exercise, that is going to be ordinal. For meditation, that's going to be nominal. For diet, that's going to be nominal as well. For religion, that is going to be nominal. For politics, that is going to be nominal as well. For sexuality, it is going to be nominal. For your two variables, those should both be scale, because they are going to be measured at either the interval or ratio scale of measurement. Okay, so let's look this over, make sure that this is correct. So you should have nominal scale, nominal, ordinals until you get to semester. Then exercise should be ordinal, and then a bunch of nominals, and then two scales. Okay, so that looks correct. We have our values in here. All right, so we can let SPSS know what variable is which. So I'm going to go to my data view now. All right. And I can drag this so that I can see the entire word on one line for my variables. And I'm going to put in my information. Now, my information obviously is going to be different from yours. All right. I'm going to only put in as if I had 5 people in my sample, just to kind of let you know, how this looks. All right. Before we move on to the next video, which is going to show you how to actually conduct all of these statistical analyses that you need to do in order to answer both of your research questions. So for ID, I'm just going to put 1 here, 2, well, I'm going to put 2, 3, 4, 5. For age, the people here should be between, the participants should be somewhere between 18 and 24. So I'm going to put, like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 20. Oh, let's skip that. So you should be putting this based on what you collected as far as data. For gender, all right, 1 is a male, 2 is a female, 1, all right. For race, I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So those are the different racial ethnicity categorizations. All right. For education, all right, I'm going to put 2 for most of them. For class, that's going to be the same, because when you collect this, it should be the same semester. Oh no, I'm sorry. For classes, it's their level. So let's see. Let's put 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. All right. For social economic status, we could put that they're all lower class. I believe that was 5, if I'm not mistaken. Let's just make sure of that. For let's see. Yeah, that was 5. Okay. Let's go back to data view. For the semester, this should be all the same semester. Let's say this is all in the spring. Exercise is all 1. Let's say meditation is a mix. Let's say diet. Yeah, let's say mostly everybody is a vegan or vegetarian. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Religion, let's say most everybody is a Christian. Politics, let's say most are Democrats. For sexuality, let's say it's a mix. And for depression and anxiety scores, so what you're going to do here is when you get your data for your 100 participants, you are going to, when they answer each question, there should be a number that represents their answer. So if they answered the first question with on a scale from 1 to 5, and they answered it a 5, well, that's their score for that question, also called an item. You are going to add up all of those questions, all those item numbers, to get a total score for the test. So if there was 10 questions and they answered 5 for each question, you would answer 5 plus 5 plus 5. So they would get a total score of 50. All right. And then you would put that total score in here. So let's say my scores are, 20, 23, 25, 27, and 30. And you're going to do the same for the anxiety test. You're going to add up all the scores and get a total anxiety test score. All right. And so now we have our data. All right. Input it. And so I'm going to stop this particular video, and there'll be a second video explaining how we get our data and how we put the data into the template that I've created for you so that you can submit your Chapter 4 results section. Thank you. Have a great day.